Friends, I don't know about you, but my heart is so moved with pain when I look at these scenes of the attack on September 11th, 2001, and I look at the scenes of October 7th, 2023 here in Israel, involving murderous, diabolical terrorists. And when I hold this gun, this shepherd's staff, to stop evil from succeeding, I think we must continue to maintain the unity that followed these attacks. I remember people came together to fight against terror. We must not forget what happens when the good remains silent, when the righteous people will not stand in the gap. Let's look back at September 11, 2001 together. 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked 4 commercial airliners and flew them towards American targets. 2 struck the World Trade Center, a 3rd struck the Pentagon. Passengers on the 4th revolted and caused the plane to crash in the rural hills of Pennsylvania. That's just amazing to remember some of this stuff. 2,996 people were killed in the attack, murdered in the attack, only because they hate the West, only because they hate Israel and America. They hate Christians, they hate Jews. Estimates of the numbers injured were in the tens of thousands. So many firemen died, so many police, so many people died. The attack was the deadliest attack in the history of America, causing about $10 billion of damages, and that was in 2001. Imagine what that is today. Attacks were the catalyst for significant changes in the U.S. Policy in the Middle East, for example, invading of Iraq and Afghanistan, and all kinds of matters relating to, Islam, terrorism, and national security. So 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashes into the North Tower. It's kamikazed into the North Tower at World Trade Center. And in New York City, 9:03, United Airline flight, these are jumbo jets, right? Flight 175 crashes into the South Tower. United Airlines flight 175 crashes into the South Tower. And that shows that it's a deliberate attack. It shows this isn't an accident, pilot error. It shows that these planes were hijacked. American Airlines flight 77 crashes into the Pentagon in Virginia. The Pentagon, okay, causing massive damage. 9:59 a.m., South Tower collapses. The South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses after burning for 56 minutes, bringing us to 10:03 a.m. United Airlines 93 crashes in Pennsylvania, in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after the passengers, as I said, overpowered the hijackers. And we must always stand together and fight. We cannot allow terror to frighten us, to instill a spirit of fear. No way. First responders, historic efforts. Well, there was police, there was firefighters. Everybody rushed to rescue victims. I mean, they took people on boats to get them away from the smoke. People can die from smoke. They died from inhaling smoke and from burns. Closed the American airspace. The Federal Aviation Agency closes flights all over the U.S. First time in history this ever occurred. Evacuation of New York City, an unprecedented evacuation. People were so scared. On foot, by ferries, and other means, they evacuated the entire New York. And then you have collapse of World Trade Center number 7. Building number 7 also collapsed in the late afternoon. They say probably due to fires, sparked by debris. All the debris that was kind of far away. It wasn't those 2 towers, it was building number 7. The attack on the U.S. Capitol and the White House was thwarted because Flight 93 target was believed to be the U.S. Capitol or the White House, but passengers thwarted that attack. So what would have happened if that plane didn't crash in Pennsylvania? That's the question. Immediate response by George Bush. He addresses the people. And I want you, please tell me in the comments, please write in the comments where you were, if you were alive in 2001 and September 11th. Where were you? What was it like for you? Were you at home? Were you watching it on TV? What happened? Obviously, you know that there was so much solidarity, and I wish for the solidarity without a terror attack in the United States, in Israel. I want to see more solidarity, more standing with the troops, standing for freedom. And you have Operation Enduring Freedom launched in response to the attacks. U.S. launches military action against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan in October. I wonder if it was October 7th. That'd be interesting. If Operation Enduring Freedom started on October 8th, which is when we started restoring freedom, begin to restore security to our borders. The United States creates the Homeland Security, establishes a new department to coordinate domestic security and do efforts against terrorism. And so now let's quickly look at October 7th, 2023. All right? It's not that long after September. It's October 7th, all right? And you have this attack. You have about 6,000 massacring, driven by this evil ideology, this end-time apocalyptic worldview. And they came in and did mass casualties on the kibbutzes, communities all near the Gaza border. Mass casualties, taking 251 hostages, injuring, about 3,300 people, killing 1,300 people or so, including women, elderly, Holocaust survivors, vicious, bloodthirsty militants, massacred people. I mean, I'm talking cutting off genitals, cutting off breasts, just murdering people, burning them alive, etc. And there's all kinds of eyewitnesses and video in Kfar Aza, Be'eri, Nachal Oz, Mavar Erez, and so on. They happen upon a music festival, or they planned it. Large music festival near Re'im, resulting in a massacre of so many people, and many fled, many were killed, many were taken hostages. Israeli towns are locked down. We go into full DEFCON emergency mode, and start to sweep for militants. A lot of them go back, but many of them stay and still carry out more and more attacks until they are neutralized and terminated by us, by the IDF. And Hamas releases footage of the hostages. Hamas shows that they have the hostages, and it brings all this heightened tension. And suddenly we call for global condemnation of these terrorists. And surprisingly, many people do stand with us, but surprisingly, many didn't stand for freedom. Many didn't. Some actually stood with Hamas and paraded in every single, Western country's capital. They paraded, and we say, no, we're not going to put up with this. We start to bombard Hamas infrastructure, including tunnels, weapons storage, rocket launchers, laboratories of explosives, leadership sites, logistical areas, and fighting continues everywhere, including in hospitals and mosques, which they launch from. We mobilize over 300,000 reservists, the largest mobilization Israel has ever done. International diplomacy intensifies. We start to people show up from all over the world here, including the Prime Minister of England, the President of the United States, and so on and so forth. Various ceasefire attempts suddenly are called for. I don't know why. Why would they do that? But that's what they did. Yes, we call for global anti-terrorism action. We're still calling for that. I'm calling for that right now. Renewed calls for international cooperation against terrorism. Shut down their money, shut down their banks. Don't give them an inch. People came together in 2014 to 2019 against ISIS, a global coalition of 80 countries, led by the United States, in order to defeat ISIS in Iraq and Syria. And you know what? Cities like Raqqa. Now we're fighting in cities like Rafah. But there were cities like Raqqa and Mosul, where the heaviest fighting. But, many came together, 80 countries. NATO invokes Article 5 for the first time, leading to a unified response around the globe of NATO-allied countries for a war on terror, including Afghanistan, the Al-Qaeda, the Taliban regime. You have the Abraham Accords in 2020, headed by Trump, Netanyahu, our prime minister, and several Arab nations like the United Arab Emirates, like Bahrain, Sudan, Morocco, normalized relations with Israel, just like Egypt did, just like Jordan did. They normalized relations, and Saudi, we believe that's happening, it's on its way, and demonstrated that terror will not win. I'm telling you guys, there's a need still today for unity, resilience. As you shed a tear, yes, and comment in the comments below, where were you? September 11th, 2001, and where were you also on October 7th, 2023? We must bring a coalition of 80 countries, of all countries, together to fight against terror and teach terrorists that terror will not pay. We will have a world free of violence and filled with peace.
I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them.
Psalms 91, verse 5, you will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come nigh you. Isaiah chapter 54. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Every tongue that rises up against you in judgment you will condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is from me, says the Lord.